Hi, welcome to Phil's Computer Lab. This is an in-depth video review, guide and tutorial of the external floppy emulator from GOTEK. The internal version of the floppy emulator is well known, and I did a video on that. You can find a link down below in the video description. Because the internal and external floppy emulator work quite similar, but have important differences, I will be showcasing both types and point out any differences. To keep it simple, the black floppy emulator is the internal model, the grey one is the external one. The external floppy emulator works just like a standard external USB 3.5-inch floppy drive, connecting to the USB port of your computer, but uses a USB flash drive instead of real floppy disks. The internal floppy emulator works just like a standard internal 3.5-inch floppy drive, connecting to the motherboard, but also uses a USB flash drive instead of real floppy disks. The external floppy emulator has a 3-digit display as well as 2 buttons on the front. I will show you how to use this shortly. At the back of the unit is the USB connector. Surprisingly, the USB cable was not included, which can be annoying if you don't have one lying around. I had to cut away some of the plastic for the USB cable to fit nicely. It has standard mounting holes that lets you install the unit inside a standard computer case. You could then connect it to a PCI USB interface card, for example. Great for computers that have a motherboard without a floppy connector. The unit seems to be only available in grey, but if you spot a black version of this drive, please let me know down below in the comments. The first thing you need to do is format a USB flash drive. The internal floppy emulator had built-in formatting, which could be initiated by holding down both buttons and then turning on the power. Unfortunately, this does not work with the external floppy emulator. Here, to format the USB flash drive, we got to use the formatting tool that comes with the unit. It's pretty straightforward, the software is in English and does what it's supposed to do. You then insert the formatted USB flash drive into the external floppy emulator. Notice the 2 dots in the lower right corner of the 1s and 10s display. They light up when the flash drive is removed and go dark when you insert the flash drive and the drive is ready to go. The buttons at the front of the unit are used to select what floppy disk you want to use. The right button increments the 1s and the left button increments the 10s. Pressing both buttons at the same time will increment the hundreds, but compared to the internal floppy emulator, it behaves a little bit glitchy. The button presses need to be timed close together, otherwise it doesn't register properly. Formatted USB flash drives are exchangeable between the internal and external versions. This applies to both types of formats. USB flash drives formatted with 100 disks as well as 1000 disks. Note that the only way to format a USB flash drive with 1000 disks seems to be using the built-in formatting function of the internal floppy emulator. This software can only format 100 disks unfortunately, and as noted earlier, the external floppy emulator does not have the built-in formatting function of the internal version. So what could you use this external floppy emulator for? I use it mostly to transfer DOS applications, games, drivers or tools between my main desktop and my retro computers. Newer computers can boot from a USB floppy drive. This is great for flashing your motherboard BIOS on computers that cannot flash directly from a USB flash drive. You can also run boot diagnostic tools such as memtest, handy if your machine doesn't have an optical drive or creating a bootable USB flash drive is too much hassle. The external floppy emulator identifies itself as a YE data USB floppy drive. This is great for installing Windows XP, because the YE data USB floppy is one of a handful of external floppy drives that the Windows XP installation program supports. Press F6 at the start of the installation and you can then load SATA AHCI drivers from the external floppy emulator. This is great if you don't want to slipstream the drivers or the machine doesn't have an internal floppy drive. The external floppy emulator sells for around $32 Australian, which includes free shipping, so it costs a little bit more than the internal version, but not by much. And that's it for this video. To finish it off, I will now use the external floppy emulator to put DOS on a modern notebook and play some good old Prince of Persia. As always, please subscribe, like and comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I see you next week.